that we have a group of leading entrepreneurs and tech experts to brainstorm on this interesting topic. May I please request each one of you to come on stage? Our first panelist on my list is Mr. P.N. Shetty, Chief Executive Officer, Rupee Boss Financial Services Private Limited. Can we have a huge round of applause, please? Mr. Shetty, please come on the stage. Moving on, the next on panel we have with us Mr. Arun Pujari, co-founder and CEO, CashInvoice.in. Can we please have a huge round of applause? Everyone from at the back seat as well. Thank you. The next in line is Mr. Akshay Verma, co-founder, Biko. We also have Mr. Sunil Saxena, VP Cluster Enterprise Head, West and Central VI Business. And to moderate this session, may I call upon Ms. Apsara Chidambaram, Head Partnerships at Shopify India. Ladies and gentlemen, can we have a huge round of applause? Thank you.
Thank you for the introduction and welcome panelists. It's great to be in your company today. We have an interesting topic, which is the role of technology in SME growth. And we're going to break it down. Okay, we're going to talk about the role of technology in each of your businesses, which is quite varied actually. We have a mixed bag today. Then we're going to talk about challenges. And let's take it out in the open. What are the challenges everyone's facing today? What are the barriers? And how are you innovatively solving for it? We'll then talk a little bit about what are you doing within your own enterprises, right? To make sure that your employees are technology efficient, are ready, right? And we'll also talk a little bit about real-time data and real-time insights and how are you leveraging that. So I think I'll start with you, PN. I hope you have your mic. Yeah, thanks. So we'll talk about what are your views about technological advancement in the MSME ecosystem, right? And what do you think are some good ideas to derive better business value? So if you can give context of your organization, that will really help.
Thank you. I was watching one of the seminar on this subject. So one of the KPMG partner made a reference saying that today there are, say, 3 levers to business: God, regulators, and technology. The first 2 things I think we can't do much about, right? The third is technology, and without that I think you can say that you can't run your business in this century, right? So I think my observation is most of the SMEs, the advantage today is there is no need to build large software, hardware in today's world, right? Software as a service is there everywhere now. A lot of large companies are building out technology, and I think SMEs can leverage the same today at fraction of the cost. So maybe I made that mistake in my own startup. I spent about 5-6 crore building technology in my initial startup days, right? But if I look back, I think all that is available for maybe 10-20 lakh rupees even then, but I made that mistake. Maybe I request all the SMEs take that extra time. What I urge SMEs is SME owner should spend almost every day some time and understand the technologies available and compare the costing and go with the best, right? So if I have to talk about one more important thing for SME especially, there are a lot of startups in the country which are building many things, right? And they want to scale. Now, to scale, initially they need customers to test their product. So they are ready to give services to SMEs at a very throwaway prices. I think SMEs can leverage on that. So they can work with them, build their product at a very nominal cost and build their business, right? So I'll tell you what happened yesterday. I was talking to my vice president. I told him that I have this one. So I asked him, what are your views? He said, yesterday he got a call from a 80 crore SME owner, and he told him that I have a problem. My HR manager left yesterday, and I need to prepare salary in the next 1 week. I don't know what to do. I need your help. He said, give me some time. No, you have to tell me now. Help me out. He said immediately he connected to one of the startup, which is into HRMS, and connected on a call. In about 20-25 minutes, there was a solution available, and that company told, and maybe half the cost of the whatever manpower he has for that. And he said, this month's salary, we will do it. So problem is solved. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think the role of technology is to take the complexity of that away from you, right? And so that you can focus on what you're good at and what is the core of your business.
That's right.
So just in line with this, do you want me to change the mic? Sorry, I think there was an echo. Yeah. So just in line with this, I want to hear from Akshay. Akshay, how do you think Indian SMEs are doing as compared to how global SMEs are doing when it comes to contributing to the economy and those factors?
So, Apsara, I'll just put in some rough numbers. The Indian MSMEs contribute to around 30% of our GDP and around 40% of exports. Rough numbers. When it comes to US, it's around 44% of the GDP is contributed by the MSMEs, and China is as high as 60%. We have 6.8 crore MSMEs, up or down some percentage. China has 3.8 crore MSMEs, but we are adding only 1,000 to 1,100 enterprises every day, and China is adding 15,000 to 18,000 enterprises each day. Like 18 times the number of enterprises we are adding. So that I think has a lot to say. And yeah, we have 6.8 crore MSMEs, but majority of them, 99% of them are still micro, and they don't have the means to grow. They don't have the technology to grow right now. They don't have the access to funding also. But okay, yeah, these are challenges that are there, but I think we should look at this as an opportunity to grow. The MSMEs right now, like we are young economy, like we are one of the youngest economies. 50% of the population is 26, 27 years old.
That's right.
Yeah, every day new entrepreneurs and new like business leaders are coming out from various colleges across the country. And it's just an opportunity for us to grow, and we are just shifting slowly to a consumption-driven economy. And I think the future is going to be bright for us. 110% we will require a push from the government, from the private sector, from various fintech startups. The MSME sector needs backing, especially the micro sector, for them to grow. There's a statistics which I had read that there's a funding gap of $300 billion that is there in the micro and small MSME sectors. So there's a lot of changes that will be required, maybe in the process of underwriting how it's happening for these micro industries through banks, through NBFCs. It is happening. It is 100% happening. A lot of focused growth has to be seen in industries. If you look at China, like each and every sector is so focused. Like there'll be a factory making a small item but in bulk. Like the scale at which they're operating is very, very different for each and every small industry. And I think to put things into context, the one industry that India has excelled in the most is automobiles. We are, I think, the highest exporters of automobiles and automobile components in the world. And it started when Maruti Suzuki had entered the country. And post that, everyone obviously entered. But it just sprouted so many MSMEs around it, that automobile ancillary industry, where people, like, they had to basically make products with the right technology, with the right quality, that they could basically export these and make India where we are. And so I think the government is pushing the sunrise sectors, be it like electronics, semiconductor chips, bamboos. So it is going to happen.
Yeah. I just want to ask Arun actually, what is your perspective on the role of technology, you know, in terms of the sector that you are familiar with, right? And also which sector is actually lagging behind and could do a better job? I know you have a few points in mind around that.
Sure, thank you. So these questions are very pertinent. I hope I'm audible to the people who are sitting on the last row. Yeah, thank you. So the role of technology is a bit of contextual in say, as you know, so with the new definition of RBI, the way SME has been referred, so there is a lot of inclusion which has happened. So the idea was to bring in more and more people under this context, who are relatively even bigger in size. So that has been a noble, maybe an effort from the government of India. But when we look at SME, and who are typically whom we are referring in SME, is an entrepreneur, is a single guy who is running his own businesses, which if I may so, a micro unit. Even in a smaller unit, it's again a single entrepreneur with one or more, maybe the expert in its own domain. But primarily, he does not have any other ideas like how an HR function should be run, how a finance function should be run, or maybe any other function which should be run. But he's an expert in his own domain. So primarily, these are SME guys. Either he's a family guy who would have worked in his own family generation to generation where he has got this expertise, or possibly a professional guy who would have worked in any particular corporate at a higher level or a lower level, got some sort of expertise in an area, had that courage, stepped out, and made a business of its own. So when we talk about technology, so again, let's break it up into two parts. One is which is very much relevant in a support function. For example, HR, finance. So these are something which is not core to their business, but a support function. So this is where the startups and other stuff would come in, and that a support function could be given. Now, if you look at from the balance sheet in the P&L of an SME, okay, I'm just taking a step back, so that we are all aligned on this particular thing. On operation parameters, these SMEs are doing superb. Government is supporting them with tax benefits, and also that is where they are able to compete with the biggest in the market, and that is where a bigger, larger anchors wants to work with more and more of an SME company. But while it comes to the other parameters like financial cost, transparency, bookkeeping, compliances, so we would see there are a lot of variation and abbreviations in the way they are functioning. Obviously, because there is no proper team in place, SMEs are working in silos in a single domain with a single objective or delivering a goods, but not building up a system. Okay, and system has a cost. Now, two things could happen. One could look at a sector. Now, the sector which joins across all possible dots within an SME. Like for example, finance is a stream. So government has done a lot of work in those streams, wherein we have seen a lot of entrepreneurs coming up, a lot of startups coming up, a lot of new innovations coming up, primarily because the cost of infrastructure has been borne by the government. Government has come with so many features, and which has been discussed in the earlier panel. So that has helped innovations at the rare end where the cost is minimal. So wherever there is a cost of innovations which is minimal, the adaptation is high, that is where we'll see a real impact coming in. But from an SME perspective, now let's break up an SME, right? He would be a manufacturing company, he would be a trader, he would be a middleman, and he would be a value adder. So it's not something which you only see on a B2C side. If you go to any district, let it be auto, engineering, electrics, all the smaller guys into manufacturing, so these are all SMEs. All fintechs are SMEs, so that is how we define ourselves. So what we are trying to say is it's very difficult to highlight one SME in a particular sector and derive an innovation, because innovation has a cost. Unless the implications are huge in numbers, the denominators are huge in numbers, the cost does not get divided. Yeah. That is where the hindrance comes in. The one good thing which has happened on the financing part, as I did mention, so there are a lot of innovations one would see, but major of an innovations is done by the government. All infrastructure has been laid by the government part per se. So how are these SMEs surviving when it comes to technology? So for example, if it's an auto, so primarily it's an auto major who takes up the cost, give that idea, technology to their suppliers, and that is where they start working upon. So that's the core part of it. Again, what we are trying to do is divide core vis-a-vis the peripherals part of it. Peripherals comes or could come from the support, maybe of the fintech companies, but the core part of it, which is major part of it, would have to come in from some sponsor. Either it has to be their parent, their mentor, the one who gives them business, or possibly they would have to come in from a government or maybe some association, which would say these are something which is important, and these are something which we are taking about cost. And you, like for example, paper use. Suppose in case if someone wants to put up a plant, the entire new plant, is it an SME with a new technology, can they afford it? They cannot afford it. But is it possible wherein they could have some sort of concept in their respective domain when a paper use could come in, which means their fixed cost gets converted into an operation cost. Okay, so if that is something which is coming up, then possibly we are hitting on the right sector, which is their core function, and the innovations would have a real role to play.
Yeah,
But
I think I'd like to contextualize this a little bit, Sunil. So if you can share some learnings that you have when you're trying to, take this technology to SMEs, you're creating an ecosystem there by itself, and your business, how is it impacting the last mile?
Yeah, I think the topic being technology, I would like to step back and possibly take all of you along 2 decades back. I mean, since I belong to the telecom industry, I mean, it's been almost about 2 decades plus. Look at the disruption technology brings to the entire ecosystem that we are operating in. I mean, till about 2 decades back, I mean, the simple mobile used to be only a voice communication for people. And that was also the only lifeline for businesses. Come technology which offered data through the mobile route. And more importantly, it made it accessible to the smallest denominator of businessmen in the country. A mobile which was not prohibitive on the pricing. A mobile which could carry data and he could interact with his customers or his suppliers much faster than he could have otherwise done, always. So if you really look at technology innovations started from telecom, for a businessman today, and especially for the SME, as PN rightly said, that what need not spend yourself into the technology. You don't have to spend in the servers and the computers and the software yourself. There is so much of it which is available, which is on a pay-per-use basis when we talk about cloud-based services today. And there's a few of the offerings that from our side, I think we are helping businesses work upon, are the cloud-based offerings where the entrepreneur need not spend huge money into the IT infrastructure.
Exactly.
Because these services are available on the fly on a pay-per-use
model.
Pay-per-use basis.
Yeah.
Beyond the cost of the technology, what we are definitely looking at is the awareness or the consultative way of looking to digitize business.
Yeah.
Now, all of us know we have gone through major disruptions, whether it was demonetization or whether it was the pandemic which hit us. Mr. Arun Singh in the morning, he clearly highlighted the businesses who were digitally enabled, they grew faster.
They thrived actually.
Which were digitally enabled,
Exactly.
they grew faster.
Yes.
And some of them died.
That's true.
So, relevance of technology is very much known to all of us today. And therefore, what we are trying to do from our side is that we are trying to create a consultative platform for SMEs, especially which we call is Ready for Next. Now, this is a self-assessment tool for SMEs to evaluate how can they re-engineer their business model to be a more digitized model. Because today, there are 3 requirements for any business. You need digitized way of reaching out to the customers. You need a digital workforce, which can work anywhere from any time. And you need a business model which is based on processes which are more digitized.
That's right.
There is a less and less dependency on the human factor. So we are helping organizations. We have in fact worked with almost 50,000 SMEs across the country, become their customized consultant to help them understand where do they stand on their journey of digitization. And we are not talking about their business. We are talking about the same processes which PN said and Arun said, which are their support systems to their business. We are not experts in their business, but we can definitely support them. How can they improve their IT, MIS, the workflows of their businesses? How can we improve some of the processes that they can outsource on a pay-per-use basis? So this is something which is really making them agile in terms of decision making, in terms of rolling out a new roadmap for themselves. How technology will be able to scale up their businesses in future.
That's true. Akshay, you're an entrepreneur and you're running your own business, Beko, which is about bamboo products. So tell us a little bit about, what was your technology journey, right? On one hand, PN shared that he himself had a situation where he spent a lot on technology, right? So how have you sort of learned from that, observing others, and set up your technology backend?
So I think we started off around 3 years ago, and honestly, we built our website in 2 weeks. If you had told me this 10 years ago, ki if you can build a website on your own in 2 weeks, you would have said it's not possible. And it was platforms like yours, Shopify, WooCommerce, Wix that is there that has enabled us to do that. And I could reach to the global consumer. It's not that I have to just be in a particular geography like Bombay or India. It is giving you the avenue to basically reach the customers in a global scale. Technologies are there, obviously, in building the website. In the back end, there are platforms like ShipRocket, where you don't need to basically tie up with any of the logistics partners. You just need to basically just
Get an app.
Yeah, get an app. You just need to put in the details and voila, either Blue Dart or Ecom Express or whatever comes and picks up your orders. You don't have to get into the operation bit of it. We've integrated with RazorPay which handles our payrolls. And all of this is pay-per-use. Like, the technology is there. You see the D2C boom that's happened in the last 2-3 years. It has happened because the technology was there. It was available for the boom to take place. So I think technology is going to be the driver. And it has to be the initial drivers for new industries to prop up. And it is, I think, essential for people to adopt the technology. Like, it's not important, it's essential for them to grow. Like a simple, I'll give you an example. I don't know how many people know this. In 1970s, the first person to get a supercomputer in India was Mr. Choksi from Asian Paints. And you'll be like, why will a product company get a supercomputer? And this was before even the IITs and ISRO got it. But he had that vision. He knew that technology is going to be a part of the future. It's going to enable decisions. They started feeding each and every data that they were getting, like each and every order that they were getting from stores. Kaun sa paint ja raha hai, how much quantity is going from each pin code. And today they can, to 99 or 90% accuracy, say today I'm going to get this much order from this store. So he had that vision in the 1970s. So I think technology is it's the only way to survive in the future.
But what are some of the barriers? What do you see in the next 18-20 months that you could be facing that, as a small business owner and you're growing at a very rapid pace, where do you think you'll need help?
So I think, technology is there. The thing is, it has to be inculcated in the organization and it has to start from the top. There have been a lot of solutions and a lot of initiatives that we've tried where we as founders have basically not been in the forefront of it.
Yeah.
And that has not been it has not been a success. So the barrier is going to be that we have to be involved at it from the top, right from the top, and then only the culture will be inculcated in the entire organization.
That is true. That is true. Arun, what has been your experience as far as technology integration goes within your organization? Has it been tough?
Yeah, I'll just come back. I just want to add one more point, So when you talk about a framework, so there are two ways, in an existing SME business, how the technology could help, or how the technology could bring up more businesses. Like, for example, in the last generation or maybe in the last decade or so, the major interest in the entrepreneurship or SME has come in a trading platform. Primarily because it's a zero entry barrier. Absolutely, there is no entry barrier. The cost of innovation is absolutely something which the infrastructure has been built in. And people are looking forward to such avenues, wherein they wouldn't have to spend much, something which is ready, something which they just ride on easily and start up a business. That should be the objective. More so, if we are able to deliver such technology, such platforms, we'll see many more SMEs and entrepreneurs coming on board. Now, coming back, how easy it is from a technological integration perspective. Integration is easy if you have a start and an end point to it. So, which is a pie which you need to deliver. Okay, but the question is, if you want to discover what is the end is and what is the start is, then it's a puzzle. So that is where India is right now. The first leg and the second leg, which is more corporatized, more structured. So data are asymmetric, the data are coming in, and that is where the entire values are getting created. maybe in a couple of years also from today, maybe the second tier and the third tier, which is having the entire focus, there would be more data points coming up, there would be more alternative data studies, modeling which is coming up, which will help them. And that is where the real integration, the real color of integrations and data points which will come across, which will add the entire community.
Got it, got it. Pian, I would like to ask you, what is the role that real-time data analytics plays for you? Does it play a role at all? And if so, how deep does it go? Or would you like it to go deeper in terms of data analytics for your organization?
Limited to my sector, we are a distributor for 100 plus banks and NBFCs for SME loans. So one thing which we did earlier on is we developed a CRM which can, since we have a large sales force, right? And 7 crore MSMEs, out of that at least 1 crore is at least whom we can lend to today, okay? So for us, data point is that the entire system itself in terms of how many people who are calling, how many people who are meeting in real time. And just to add to that, I think to drive this, I think senior management need to get involved. You can't just put one trainer and if you think that it will get done, it won't happen. And you have to see the data maybe on a day-to-day basis and how many SME customers are being met and they are of which industry. And just to, in fact, I was telling my team that can you talk to all the bankers and understand, so in these say 4 quarters, in which quarter which SME sector will need funding in the say last few years.
Yeah.
And SME banks will have the data. If that is made available to us, we can accordingly prioritize. So that way, it plays a huge role.
It does play a huge role. Any thoughts from your side?
Yeah, so primarily, as so again, from a finance perspective, one is a traditional way of, maybe waiting for the people to have a demand and then, maybe reaching out to them or they reaching out to you by opening up a shop. The other way around is maybe if you have a data sources, like for example, could be GST and could be GST basis, and there are other APIs available wherein on a real-time basis, you would be having so much data. Possibly, we have a algorithm wherein we could, with a confidence level of more than 90%, we can tell us in which are the companies or which are the smaller guys who would require financing right now. So that is a level which we have had. The idea is having had that knowledge, it's all about reaching out to that guy and the conversion to happen. So that's the power of real-time data coming in. So let it be cost, let it be demand, let it be supply. In every areas it is very meaningful.
Got it. Sunil, I would like to ask you as well.
Yeah, I think there's it's not just about, the funding part of using the data analytics on an online basis. I think today all of us experience, whenever we are shopping on any online platform, my choice is getting into an algorithm and I get popped up by the kind of choice I want to really look up. Now this is where I think the new technology is taking us. The artificial intelligence and the machine learning is going to help these businesses proactively see how the customer choice is changing by the day, by the minute. And therefore align my marketing strategy, my sales strategy. We talk about so much about digital marketing. What is it all about? It's all about using that data of customer preferences, the change in the customer preferences virtually online. Otherwise, in the old past days, it took almost months together for an organization to really figure out how has my customer changed the requirement. Today, this is helping us. This is entirely based on technology. The technology is helping the businesses to understand what is the specific need of your customer and how is it changing.
Absolutely. I think even at Shopify, for us, we're working with very small merchants, right? And so they're able to go into the analytics dashboard and instantly see at what point did the customer drop the cart, right? Or not want to end the shopping experience. Maybe you can share some more, Akshay, because you're running your business on such platforms.
So I think, yeah, Apsara, exactly right. So right now we get to know exactly at what point the customer is dropping off. We can see if there's some lag in the website or what the reason they've dropped out. You can target the customer again on Facebook, on Google. Boss, like you've dropped off. You can send an email. Here there's a coupon. This is a coupon code for you. please come back. You know what the problem points are. You can also when you see Amazon data nowadays, like we knew that the cleaner segment in COVID was growing because Amazon also gave the data. The Amazon Pi platform gave the data. So data is very essential in terms of knowing what the customer wants, where the customer is having issues. Also, if I look at it in the back end, I've stocked up maybe for 2 months for a particular item. And suppose in the first 2 weeks, a particular item is going very fast. My platform tells me that, boss, you're going to run out of stock. Okay, if it's one SKU, it's very easy to see. But when you're having 100 or 200 SKUs, this data is very important because you can't track each and every single SKU manually. So I think it's essential thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Real time does play a big role in business growth. Now let's talk a little bit about your workforce, right? So we can start with you, PN. How are you going about reskilling your workforce? You said it should be top down. That's one approach. But practically, what are you giving them? What tools are you giving them to reskill themselves more?
Okay.
How are you preparing your employees to have a competitive edge?
Okay, let me start with Alvin Toffler's famous statement. Like in this 21st century, illiterate are not the ones who cannot read and write. I think they are the ones who can't learn, relearn, unlearn, right? I think it is skilling your workforce is, I think, is a daily requirement today. And as I would like to repeat it again, and it needs to be done at the top management almost on a daily basis, right? And in today, the biggest challenge maybe today is that the distraction which the current sales force go through with all these social platform. I think I would like to quote one thing here. I think there's one big businessman in the US was asked, how could you make so much of money? And it's what really happened in US. And the answer to that, what he said is, I can focus and concentrate on something for 5 minutes at a stretch without any distraction. And that one ability of mine and help me build such a large organization. I think that is what the challenge for all of us today. All our workforce are distracted a lot. How can you bring them back to the main core business and keep training them, being with them, having maybe to work with them in the marketplace and work together. I think that's the need of the hour today.
Thank you. Sunil, your comments.
If you really ask me, I mean, today the workforce is also like technology. It can change every time. It is important for leaders and entrepreneurs to instill that confidence in the workforce that what has brought you here so far will not be sufficient to take you ahead. And therefore, we need to build a culture of reskilling, as PN rightly said. And I think no matter of how many formal training programs the organizations can really afford and organize. But I think as a society, as leaders of entrepreneur outfits, we need to really instill this kind of a work culture among the workforce that self-skilling is, I think, something which is going to be an order of the day for future.
That's right.
Very important.
Yeah. So I think some organizations, they're giving out a fund every year saying, we've tied up with X organization, go ahead, skill yourselves online, understand more about technology. But then also the next piece of it is how much of it are they applying into their day-to-day, right? So Arun, what are your views?
I have 2 points on this. So wherever there is a big impact of change coming in, we'll see a technology playing a very critical role. And if I need to link it to SMEs or maybe an individual or maybe an employees, one is adaptability, the second is willingness. It's not limited to employees, it's also relevant to the companies. So there are a lot of the manufacturing companies and SMEs who would have to have that adaptability and the willingness to adopt technology that has to come in. So we have seen, and it's only time will push them or they will evolve and start accepting it. So the way I feel is, maybe one can help them giving infrastructures in terms of, maybe the visions or maybe the ideas to do it. But it would be a situation which will either push them or force them, to upgrade themselves to be a better fit for tomorrow's competition.
Absolutely. And anything from your side, Akshay?
I think all the panelists have already covered everything. I just resonate the most, I think, with Mr. Shetty, that it has to be a top-down approach. Like, till the leaders don't do it, it's not going to run through the organization. Like, we have to be the drivers of it.
Right, absolutely. So great discussion. Thank you so much. I think we covered many points. Yeah, go ahead, Pian.
Maybe the bigger picture itself, maybe since you are in Shopify, right? I was reading saying that last year in festive sales, Amazon delivered, I think there are about 19,000 pin codes in the country, and they delivered, they got order from 98.4% of pin codes in the country in the first 48 hours. So look at the opportunity available today in the Indian marketplace, and informing your workforce, saying that the sky is the limit out here. There is so much opportunity available in the country. If you can't get business in India, where else you will get it? Right?
Absolutely. You know, tier 2, tier 3 markets, so well connected now. There are fulfillment partners, there are logistics partners, and there are platforms where, you know, small business can just plug in and start selling. Whether somebody is selling, like I told you, pickle from Amritsar or, you know, cycle from Indore, anybody and everybody is now able to access pan-India, right? Just by using technology. So I think that would be my closing comments on this. Technology is the backbone and is the future. And thank you so much, panelists, for being here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Chidambaram, and all our panelists for such a lovely session. I guess the audience is enjoying this interactive session. Okay, I'm going to request you to kindly stay back for a few more minutes. Please may I request Mr. Vipul Oberoi, Director of Marketing CSR and Learning Solutions at Dun & Bradstreet, India, to come on the stage and felicitate our eminent panelists with a memento. Please, can we have a huge round of applause for all the lovely panelists here? Come on, ladies and gentlemen, can we have a huge round of applause for our moderator today, Ms. Chidambaram? Moving on. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for your lovely time. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Oberoi. With that, may I now move on to the next panel discussion.